Now, from Nebraska's trusted news source, this is Channel 8 News at 5.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Megan Conway. Rod has the night off. The push to get more children vaccinated. Today, doctors discussed how misinformation or lack of information has caused many parents to be skeptical about getting their children vaccinated against COVID. Channel 8's Ariana Martinez joins us from Children's Hospital in Omaha to tell us about a new way parents can get their questions answered.
Max the Vax is a statewide partnership between the Nebraska Department of Education and physicians from throughout the state to bring parents credible information regarding the COVID-19 vaccine and their children.
Our real push right now is to make sure that folks understand the value of the vaccine, and whether or not there's a mandate that comes later, I think that will be kind of done in the right process to make sure that would be appropriate.
The reason for the partnership between medical professionals and the Nebraska Department of Education is to keep kids in school.
We know that when students even miss just as few as 4 days of school, we've done research on that, that's had an academic impact on students. 4 days.
This website has answers to questions as well as free clinic information across the state.
Provides us an opportunity to take the best of the information in one area of the state and ensure that it's transmitted to another.
Over the last 21 months, we have seen changes to how the coronavirus impacts us all.
The data out of China initially did not include very many pediatric cases, and so the thought was COVID was not going to impact kids, and we're a pretty young population in the U.S. And then Delta came and really showed us that kids get COVID just like adults.
Even though Children's Hospital is located in Omaha, they serve children throughout the state and beyond. Doctors say since May, they have treated 80 patients with COVID complications like MIS-C.
If you look at the children who have been vaccinated, we, to my knowledge, have only had one child who was observed for heart inflammation, which rapidly resolved and was essentially only treated with ibuprofen or a similar medication, as opposed to our MIS-C patients who many of whom required ICU, many of whom required blood pressure support, many of whom required a ventilator, and we had a child who required ECMO, which is like heart-lung bypass. So much more significant disease, and that's separate from our COVID patients who have been in the ICU and on the floors.
Right now, information can be found on maxthevaxne.org in various languages. And there is plans to expand the website so parents can ask questions directly online. Reporting from Children's Hospital in Omaha, Ariana Martinez, Channel 8 News.
And the push to get more people vaccinated comes as numbers continue to trend in the wrong direction here in Lancaster County. Just this afternoon, officials saying the positivity rate is alarmingly high.
In addition to the increase in new cases, the positivity rate has continued to rise as well. At the end of last week, the rate had reached 14.7%. This is the highest positivity rate we've ever reported locally.
City press releases that we have on file, higher positivity rates were recorded in November and December of 2020, as high as 33.9%. We did reach out to the city for clarification, and they told us they changed testing methodology, which is impacting the positivity rate. Also today, there were 264 new cases of COVID-19 reported and 4 deaths. The risk dial has now been moved into the high orange area. This means there is a high impact and spread of the virus in the community. The mask mandate is still in effect until December 23rd. Today, a rare warning from the U.S. Surgeon General issuing a public health advisory on the mental health crisis confronting our youth. Officials believe the pandemic has made the crisis even worse. But a Nebraska senator says she is introducing several bills in the upcoming session to address these concerns. The big problem in Nebraska is a shortage of mental health care professionals. She's trying to solve that by working with universities to provide incentives for people to join the profession and get those qualified into schools.
Schools have essentially become, at least in the state of Nebraska, a primary resource for kids in terms of mental health care, the access to mental and behavioral health care. So that's where we're focusing our efforts, is kind of the intersection between education and mental health care.
Another initiative brought on by several state senators is to establish a mental health crisis hotline in the state. It would be similar to dialing 911. You could call at any time and get help through the phone. This afternoon, there was a crash between a car and a Waverly School District van. It happened at the intersection of Waverly Road and Highway 77. 2 children were in the school van, but they were not hurt, and neither was the driver. However, the driver of the car that was involved was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still investigating the crash. The city of Omaha says vandals caused $90,000 in damage to the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge. The well-known landmark sits dark because officials say the suspects damaged the lighting system. They say it's especially disappointing this time of year when the bridge is all lit up for the holidays. The bridge, though, can still be used. Police are investigating. Also out of Omaha, Kellogg's workers have rejected the latest agreement between the two sides, continuing the now 2-month-long strike. Workers overwhelmingly voted against the new deal. This is now impacting 1,400 people across 4 states, including here in Nebraska. The deal called for a 5-year labor contract with things like an accelerated path to legacy wages and benefits for transitional employees. Kellogg's says it will now be hiring replacement workers to move operations forward. In international news, a high-stakes 2-hour virtual meeting between President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Today, over the concerns that Russia is preparing to launch a military invasion to Ukraine, a partner of the U.S. But Russia has declined all claims that it plans to launch a military invasion. But in recent weeks, it's increased their troops and military equipment along the Ukrainian border. President Biden telling Putin to de-escalate the troops and return to diplomacy, or the U.S. and its NATO allies will respond with harsh consequences.
He told President Putin directly that if Russia further invades Ukraine, the United States and our European allies would respond with strong economic measures.
The 2-hour summit ending with no concrete agreements. The Biden administration has not ruled out sending U.S. forces to the region if Russia invades Ukraine. All right, let's head on over and chat with meteorologist Malcolm Byron. He's in for John again today. And Malcolm, we're a little warmer today than yesterday.
Right, when you look at, temperatures compared to 24 hours ago, anywhere in the ballpark of 15 to 20 degrees warmer compared to this time 24 hours ago. We had a little bit of sunshine today. We can all use a little bit of that from time to time, but cloud cover is starting to move back into the area. Just some high clouds right now. Looking live over our Shones roofing camera in Beatrice. Now, I do think we'll have some clouds over the next several hours, but eventually we'll clear out in the overnight hours. Again, 24-hour temperature change, 19 degrees warmer in Lincoln compared to 24 hours ago. Generally speaking, around 15 to 20 degrees warmer compared to yesterday. Actual air temperatures right now, 42 degrees in the capital city, 39 in Beatrice. You see plenty of 30s on the map. We're at 32 degrees in Columbus, 36 Wahoo, 39 Grand Island, 37 in Hastings and in Kearney. On satellite imagery, not seeing too many clouds. If you look closely, you can see a couple of those, and we did see those on the Shones roofing camera in Beatrice. The cloud cover that we had this morning, that's off to the south. It will stay off towards the south, but in northwest Nebraska, we are watching just a little batch of cloudiness. May throw some partly cloudy skies our way over the next several hours, so temperatures will cool off not as quickly as we are expecting them to in the overnight hours, because temperatures, or I should say cloud cover, will really clear out. In the overnight hours, temperatures will plummet once that happens. Now, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about Friday's storm system. We've had some updates. I think you'll want to hear them.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, Malcolm. Thank you. Today marks 80 years since the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. Japan attacked the U.S. Navy base in Hawaii, destroying more than half of the fleet of aircraft and damaging all 8 battleships. 2,400 service members and civilians were killed, and more than 1,100 people were injured. One day later, December 8th, 1941, the U.S. declared war on Japan and officially entered World War II. And here in Lincoln, the annual Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day ceremony was virtual again this year. We'll have details of the event in our newscast tonight at 6 o'clock. A Pearl Harbor survivor is attending the 80th anniversary of the attacks thanks to the kindness of others. Here's the story.
On December 7, 1941, Ira Schaub was a musician in the United States Navy, assigned to the USS Dobbin. That Sunday morning, he was getting dressed to meet his brother when Japan attacked Battleship Row.
It's hard to say what the feelings that run through your mind are. You're scared. You don't know what's going to happen next.
During the bombings, Schaub helped load his ship's anti-aircraft guns.
When I realized we were under attack, I got busy doing what I was told, but passing ammunition and getting that sort of stuff done.
Schaub was 21 years old that day. He's now 101. Kimberly Heinrich says as her father has gotten older, he shared more about his Pearl Harbor experience.
You know that it was a significant thing. You know, he was pulling bodies out of the water.
Schaub is the last surviving member of Navy Band 13. He wanted to come back for the 80th commemoration to represent his unit.
80 years is a long, long time, and I'm still here.
But his health requires 2 caregivers, and his family couldn't afford it, so they turned to crowdfunding.
What was most amazing to me is that people did respond. I don't have words to really thank these people.
Thanks to the generosity of total strangers, Schaub will be one of about 40 Pearl Harbor survivors at the December 7th ceremony.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That was very generous and unexpected and very kind, and I am forever grateful.
When he's here, Schaub will meet a member of another Navy band who also survived the attack, and he'll return to his musical roots as a guest conductor for the Pacific Fleet Band.
And speaking of Hawaii, still to come tonight, up to 25 inches of rain could fall on the islands. Details after the break.
I think what sets us apart from
Now to that flooding emergency in Hawaii, a powerful storm dumping torrential rains and what forecasters warned could be catastrophic flooding. ABC's Morgan Norwood has the latest.
Hawaii hammered with heavy rain and high winds as officials urge residents to brace for worsening conditions. The emergency alert stemming from the same winter storm system responsible for Hawaii's weekend blizzard. Overnight torrential rainfall lashing the islands, leading to landslides and flash flooding. More than a foot of rain blanketing roads, blocking off access and leaving vehicles trapped in the muddy floodwaters. The system unleashing high winds, trees seen toppling over, with power outages reported throughout hard-hit areas. The relentless rains bearing down on residents. Watch as water streams from this electrical outlet after heavy rains burst a pipe in the roof. On the Navy's Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, an urgent water warning. Health officials advising residents not to use the water. It comes after numerous complaints of a gasoline-like odor. The flooding here in Hawaii defying records. Experts say in a typical December, the capital can expect 2 inches of rain, far less than the conditions now hammering the Central Pacific paradise. Honolulu experiencing its wettest December day on record Monday, the biggest single-day rainfall in the city since 1958. Scientists say this kind of weather is just the beginning.
Every time we get damage on the shoreline, those are little windows into the near future, because with sea level rise, it won't need a big swell event. It won't need an extraordinary high tide to cause damage on the shoreline.
Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And Hawaii isn't the only state struggling with severe weather so far this week. In Kentucky, some residents are cleaning up after a major windstorm early yesterday morning, leaving dozens of homes without power. The storm hit the area of Stamping Ground in Scott County. At least 4 mobile homes were damaged, knocking one off its foundation and overturning another. The National Weather Service is continuing to assess the damage, but luckily, no injuries were reported.
Now, your Storm Alert Team forecast with meteorologist Malcolm Byron.
Well, after some morning clouds, we had plenty of sunshine this afternoon, but we are seeing some clouds off towards the west. Here's a live look over Honda of Lincoln. Seeing those clouds off in the distance. We'll increase clouds a little bit over the next several hours, but in the overnight hours, I do anticipate mostly clear skies. 42 degrees right now in the capital city. Seems to be the warm spot on the map. 40 degrees in Omaha, 36 in Nebraska City, 39 in Beatrice, 39 as well in Grand Island, 37 degrees the current temperature in Hastings and in Kearney. Compare this to this time 24 hours ago. It actually feels, I guess, somewhat nice. I would call this chilly, but compared to yesterday, it doesn't feel quite as chilly. 19 degrees compared to where we were 24 hours ago in the capital city. Now, as we mentioned, we do have some clouds starting to move into the area. You can see them very faintly right there. You may have a hard time seeing it, but they are there. We just saw them on the Honda of Lincoln camera. Looking off towards the south, these were the clouds that were with us this morning, and there are some more clouds off towards the northwest, moving towards the southeast. So it's conceivable that we'll have to increase cloud cover over the next several hours. And in fact, I forgot to update this little icon right here. I think it'll be partly cloudy for the next several hours, and then as we get into the overnight hours, it'll be mostly clear. 19 degrees, evening clouds clearing in the overnight hours. I did remember to update this icon, however, mostly clear skies on Wednesday. Some afternoon clouds will arrive, but 51 degrees, so slightly warmer for our Wednesday. Winds out of the south and southeast, maybe gusting upwards of 20 miles per hour at some moments in time. So over the next 2 days, again, 51 for your Wednesday, mostly clear. Increasing clouds slightly on Thursday, 56 degrees. That's probably our warmest day this week because we have a little hiccup on Friday. If you look at your weather app on your phone, you might see a little snowflake icon in Lincoln this evening, and temperatures drop on Friday. Here's the thing, meteorologists aren't too big fans of the weather app. Here's what the weather app will not tell you. Who sees the most snow? The more snow is likely to the north. I do have a little more confidence in Lincoln seeing some snow on Friday, and we'll outline that with STORMCAST in just a moment. When is it possible? Friday afternoon and into Friday evening. I think we'll likely be dry in Lincoln Friday morning. How impactful will it be? I think it'll be a low impact event for Lincoln. Just keep in mind as you're going out and about driving Friday evening, this is the first snow of the season. So here's a look at STORMCAST. We're looking at this area of low pressure in Colorado very early Friday. Could see some snow in the panhandle regions as early as midnight. Throughout much much of Friday morning, the northern part of the state could be seeing snow, but it looks like we're going to be dry in the southeast part of the state for now. Right now, it looks like we may start to see some precipitation in the afternoon hours. If that is the case, we may be close enough to this area of low pressure where it throws some warm air our way. In that event, we may see a wintry mix or maybe even just a little bit of actual rain to start. But as this low pressure system pulls away from us, it's looking like we'd see snow on the tail end of this system. As the system pulls away closer towards 11 o'clock midnight Friday, we'll start to see the last of the snow in Nebraska. We are dry by Saturday. Again, just as a qualitative representation of who will see the most snow, the farther north you are, the more likely you are to see some snow. So here's a look at our 10-day forecast. Dry on Wednesday and Thursday, mostly clear Wednesday, 51 degrees. Again, our warmest day on Thursday, partly cloudy skies, but 39 degrees on Friday with some afternoon and evening snow possible in the capital city. Tomorrow, I think, is when we'll have a little bit more confidence to put an actual snowfall accumulation forecast out, so stay tuned for that. Dry on Saturday, we're going to have snow on the ground in our forecast, so that's going to have a cooling effect on our temperature, so we'll go 38 on Saturday, but sunny skies, that should work on some of the snow a little bit, 48 on Sunday, and as things stand now, it gets really warm next week, potentially breaking some records by midweek.
The warm air returns. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. In other news now, the stock market continues to be affected by the pandemic, and North Carolina is getting a billion-dollar addition. Here are some of your business headlines tonight. Easing concerns over the effects of Omicron helping to push stocks higher, with investors betting that the Omicron variant of the coronavirus may cause milder symptoms. The Dow on Monday closed up nearly 2%. The S&P gained more than 1%, and the Nasdaq closed up nearly 1%. Toyota needs more batteries for electric cars and has picked North Carolina for a $1.3 billion battery plant. The site near Greensboro will employ nearly 2,000 people and is expected to start producing batteries in 2025. Looking to hang on to employees, meat giant Tyson Foods now says it will pay about $50 million in bonuses this year. About 86,000 Tyson employees will be eligible for the bonuses, ranging from $300 to $700. And brace yourselves, chicken tender lovers. There are reports tenders are in short supply with prices up since last year. But some experts tell USA Today it's not as much a shortage, but just tight supply, blamed mostly on high demand and a lack of workers to produce more. And here's a close look at Wall Street for you. The Dow jumping 492 points. NASDAQ also up 462. You're watching Channel 8, Nebraska's trusted news source.
Tonight, the Omicron variant spreading across more states in the U.S.
Finally tonight, if you think you have a lot of Christmas decorations, check this out. Thomas and Suzanne Jeromen decorated 444 Christmas trees. Yeah, I don't know if they can find space for another one. All of the lights, ornaments, and tinsel, aren't they beautiful? The German couple are world record holders for the most decorated trees in one place. And if that wasn't enough, they say no two trees are decorated the same. One tree has a stormtrooper theme, another is adorned with fruit, and it takes months to decorate each tree by hand. I don't know how they keep all those decorations straight, Malcolm. Can you imagine storing all of that?
I couldn't imagine that because, you know, in part just because I'm lazy when it comes to decorating. I pulled out the string of Christmas lights this year and it was all tangled and I was like,
nope, never mind.
Nope, not going to do that. All right, let's get a final check of your weather just for one quick moment. I think we're going to increase clouds a little bit in the hours to come, but in the overnight hours, we'll eventually clear skies out. I have updated that icon. It now is mostly clear in the overnight hours. 19 degrees, our forecast low tomorrow morning.
All right, thank you, Malcolm. Thank you all for joining us. World News is up next, and then we'll see you right back here at 6.
Closed caption.